Hey guys, welcome back. So today I have a topic that a lot of us have been questioning. And can I farm on Wi-Fi? Stay with me on this one.
I wanted to say thanks. I'm glad you came along, partner. I want to sing a song just for you, 'cause you're my special friend. Special friends. Special friends.
So of course I have a clip that says from JM that Wi-Fi should be sufficient enough if you check your logs and then you have your plot or farming time, below 30 seconds.
Wi-Fi's time, you have plenty of time to respond to a challenge.
So that's a given, right? But my debate is, because of my location, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate, is that we may not have wired connection, throughout the house. Unfortunately for me, where I'm situated right now and where my rig and the harvesters are and my testing machines, everything is on Wi-Fi. So my entire network is competing on the Wi-Fi. It's, the latency, there's always going to be latency. I don't care how, you have a 5 gigahertz setup at home. I have my Ring camera, I have my Wi-Fi cameras for the baby, I have, everything else is on Wi-Fi. I have other machines that are not related to Chia on the Wi-Fi. I have a machine for the computer as an entertainment system. I have actually 2 of them for that purpose. I have the Nest fire alarms and smoke detectors and all these other things that are utilizing the Wi-Fi. My phone, iPads, my laptops. And then, of course, now we have the farmer. It's racing for that. Now, I'm not saying that my Wi-Fi is not capable. I actually, I have a pretty decent, and I'll show a picture of this Wi-Fi card. But on my harvester, I just have a little USB, one little nub of Wi-Fi connection. So it's not like the top of the line Wi-Fi connection. So my question is, and I've tried looking it up, and of course when they say that your plots are going out for challenges or is trying to farm these plots, it's competing with other challenges that are on the network. One thing I've noticed on my comment, someone actually mentioned that, since switching over from Wi-Fi to wired, they actually won. Maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it wasn't. It makes total sense if you think about it that way, because Wi-Fi is always going to have that latency, and Wi-Fi is always going to be slower than wired, right? That's my concern right now. So one thing I wanted to really test is to probably shut this rig down, bring it upstairs where it doesn't belong, like literally in my living room where the Wi-Fi access point is, and plug it into the wire and let it run for maybe a week. It will be louder and it will, cause some concern, especially now that I have kids running around. I really have to find a secure place to put it. But I really want to test, because right now I'm looking at the logs. My time is like 0.1, 0.02, 0.03. It just fluctuates a little bit. So I'm wondering, that fluctuation, is it caused by other things calling or using the Wi-Fi at that very moment? Granted, I have a whole bunch of cameras, IP cameras, not even including the Ring and the front door, the backyard, and all these other devices that are competing on the wireless. Now I could do a speed check. Yes, that's fine. The internet is great. I'm not saying that there's any latency that I would notice. But these block challenges, when it's competing out there for that Chia, if I missed that challenge by a millisecond, right? Am I competing with the other person that has it wired and it's coming in a lot faster? Now, is it also dependent on your ISP, whether you have files, cable, or you're just using your phone's hotspot? You know what I mean? So I want to run that test, because now I'm questioning a lot of other factors besides, all right, now I've got the plots down correctly, I've checked my logs, I've got the port stuff open. Now it's coming down to, I'm competing, right? Because it's, if everyone says, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right now this is also test of speed, how fast you can get out there and respond. Hey, you raise your hands, how fast can you raise your hand when you hit bingo? Maybe someone else has that same bingo card as you, they jump up before you. So it's sort of like an auction block, right? You hear these guys rumbling off and everyone's raising their hands, see who gets that last bid. I almost feel like it's a fight for time, because of the Time Lord, to see who comes and responds faster. In regards to that, this will definitely put a hinder on my farming abilities. Let's just say I take this entire rig, I bring it and plug it in wire, now let it run, and I win. I'll be grateful and I'll be really happy, but at the same time, my whole strategy would change. Now that's just a hypothetical thing. It may be a coincidence, But is it that much of a coincidence if more and more people try it and become successful? I don't know. That's very debatable, right? I'm coming up with new ideas to try to see what I can do to improve myself. Now, that's always a good thing, right? Everyone should try and see what we're improving on. But at the same time, because of all these deterrents, the Wi-Fi network, because sometimes, Wi-Fi networks can have spikes in between here and there. Occasionally, I would have to shut down or reboot a Wi-Fi because something is causing a conflict, and all of a sudden the access point, you know that. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that. It just has to be rebooted once in a while because something caused it to kind of just flake out. Unfortunately, that's the case. With wired, that's a little less likely. I remember back in the day when I would used to have to restart or, reboot switches because, there's collisions or whatever. But those days are pretty much gone. At least I think it is. But to be really honest, I haven't used anything wired. Besides things in my office, at home, everything is wireless. I have no reason to use any wired unless I'm setting up a very segregated LAN environment for doing certain things, right? I think that would be an awesome test to try, and once I get the results of that, I'll let you know. I'll document everything that I have currently as far as my time on wireless, because that's all in the logs behind me. And once I plug it into the wired, I would let it run for a good amount of days, because I think I need some time for it to generate these logs and also for it to attempt to farm the same equivalent of the plots. Now, the downside to maybe for some of you is that you guys have it all set up where you have multiple external hard drives plugged in everywhere, and your rig is not as portable. And this is the very same reason why I chose to make sure that all my hard drives are in the rig, where all I have to do is unplug everything from behind and just pick up the whole thing and move it to another location in case I needed to do something in this area where it get too dusty or whatever the case is. So I will run that test and I will bring back the results. But this is a cause for my concern because I became an issue. Like, I'm thinking after listening to JM, it's like, even though he was so brief on the whole Wi-Fi he didn't even mention latency. He just mentioned, Wi-Fi, you have at least 30 seconds to respond to a challenge. And that's what triggered me to say 30 seconds to respond to a challenge, but I'm competing with someone else who's on a wire, and he could probably respond back to that challenge a lot faster than me being on Wi-Fi. So that's how that started. So I want to thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys appreciate this, and I hope that I can answer some of the questions that you may have. Thank you, and see you guys again soon. Bye.